right. Uh, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Connect and Serve Live, the monthly gathering where we celebrate our heroes, share incredible stories, and show you how this buzzing community is changing lives all over the country. Myself, I am Gary Burns. I am the Central California State Leader. I'm also a Coast Guard veteran, beekeeper. I'm the author of the Hives for Heroes inspection book, um, and also the owner of the Burns and the Bees Honey Company. And I actually have the distinct honor to be hosting the show tonight. First things first, tell us your name and where you are tuning in from in the comments. We've had people from all 50 states and sometimes across the globe show up here. So you never know who you will be meeting tonight. I already see that we have Southern California, Minnesota, North Carolina. Awesome. This is great. We have lots of great things to talk about. There are some really big things happening in a world of Hives for Heroes, and we're just so lucky to be a part of it. I myself, I am not Steve. In fact, if I squeezed into Steve's medium shirt here, I'd be bursting it out of the seams. I don't quite fill the shirt as well as Steve does. But Steve, let's talk about our founder. He was invited tonight to throw the first pitch for the Houston Astros. So instead of hosting our Connect and Serve, he's representing every single one of us on the national stage. So that's right, Major League Spotlight for our mission. Good luck, Steve. I hope everything goes well. I can't wait to see pictures from that. And second, once in a lifetime event, we are going to NASCAR, the ARCA series. Former Marine Josh White will be driving the number 3 car at Bristol on September 11th in honor and remembrance. He's offered us a chance to raise funds for Hives for Heroes. So for just $50, you could put your name or the name of a fallen hero on that number 3 car. So imagine that moment on a track, 200 names of our brothers and sisters being honored on one of the biggest stages in the world. It's going to be powerful. And did I mention Hives for Heroes is actually our logo. Logo is going to be on the hood, on the suit, and the helmet of Josh. This is just nuts. Our organization is always pushing the limits, and I would not want to have it any other way. This is absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see that race in Bristol on September 11th. Lastly, and most important moving forward, the BX online platform will start their beta on September 1st. The expansion of connection and services will finally be all in one spot for from our customized profile, direct messaging, our education, state groups, resources, events, and more. The BX team has done a phenomenal job of building the digital solution for the growing Hives for Heroes community. This project has been in the works for well over a year. They've been planning, tweaking, testing, and they're just really excited to start to unveil what has been built for us. Investing on people takes time and resources, and from our experience, it's worth it. Look out for further instructions via videos and email on how to join the BX online platform in the coming weeks. All right. And all right, we've also have giveaways, behind the scene news, and a guest tonight who's going to drop some pure gold for beekeepers and community builders alike. Plus, we're talking about how you can connect deeper into the mission. So, sometimes I look out how far we've come and it just blows me away. I first met Steve actually at the Northern California Beekeepers Conference several years ago. And I remember one late night we were just talking into the wee hours of the morning about, the possibilities of this organization. What started out as a one man's healing journey in beekeeping has grown into this massive movement of service members, veterans, first responders, and everyday people, all coming together for connection, purpose, and impact. Every volunteer, every mentor, every single person who shares a post, wears the logo, or steps into a bee yard, you are the reason why we've grown. This is grassroots at its finest. There's no paid ads, no celebrity endorsements. It's just people showing up for each other. I've met so many great people through this organization. Love the connections that I have made. All right, let's see here. We are okay. Let's talk about these big moments because this is more than just some cool publicity. When Steve steps out onto that mound for the Astros, it's a visual for the whole country. We are here, we are growing, and we are representing our heroes. And that NASCAR car, I just can't wait to see that number 3 covered with the names ripping around Bristol on September 11th. Um, this is all about honoring sacrifice while showing the world the positive force that our community is. So grab your spot. Remember, $50 to have your name or a fallen hero's name on that car. Just go to Hives for Heroes donate page or PayPal directly. And just put down the person's name in the comments or in the notes. And we'll go ahead and get you on there. All right, now let's get ready for tonight's guest. This guy has been a voice in the beekeeping world for years, literally, with over 275 podcast episodes, decades of hands-on beekeeping experience, and a passion for helping people succeed. He's become a mentor to thousands, even if they've never really met him in person. He's the host of the Beekeepers Corner podcast, a master of both storytelling and bee wisdom. Please welcome Kevin Inglin. All right, welcome, Kevin.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, Kevin, let's take us back. What got you hooked into beekeeping in the first place?
Yeah, we started beekeeping in 2008. Actually, it was my wife. I was the beekeeper's husband. She started beekeeping because her mother did it, her aunt did it, her uncle did it. And then along the way, she started the beekeeping for the Boy Scout troop in our hometown and got so preoccupied with that that I started to become the beekeeper and she became the beekeeper's wife. Did I say that wrong? I'm the beekeeper's husband. Now she's the beekeeper's wife. But the two of us run the business together. I look after the bees and she helps me with that. And she runs the honey business.
All right, very nice. When you started your podcast, did you imagine that it would become such a great resource for so many people?
The funny thing is I originally started it in 2010 as just a vehicle to record what I was doing. I didn't really intend to grow it. There were times where I wondered what I was doing. And then eventually I started interviewing guests and really researching topics and found that I liked producing it. And I'm still doing it today.
You've mentored a lot of beekeepers over the years. What's one story that has really stuck with you?
The thing that is surprising to me is when you go out and you mentor with a beekeeper and you stand there and they look to you. And I always say to them, show me, do it yourself and I'll guide you and we'll help. And to get to stand there and be the confidence for them is the fun part. And, the interesting thing that I come across a lot of times is beekeepers who've made mistakes. They have wonky comb or different problems, and just the ability to help them with that and get them out of some interesting situations has been a fun pursuit at times and other times frustrating, but we always end up, having a good experience at the end.
We talk a lot here about service and healing. Have you seen this happen in the beekeeping community?
Yeah, without a doubt. I am friends with the folks who run Mission Believe, Monica Schmidt and Tristan Bannon and have participated a little bit with them. They have a parallel program to Hives for Heroes. And, I've done beekeeping primarily for my local club, but I also teach nationwide and have gone abroad. And one of the experiences I can tell you about is going to help in Malawi, Africa in 2019. The beekeepers there are in extreme poverty. They live in sheds or really small huts with dirt floors, and uh, they can hardly find water and food. If they can become a beekeeper and learn the trade and create a product, they can earn enough money to put their children through school or buy amenities or put a real roof on their house. And there's other times when I've gone around and helped people who want to become beekeepers for the pure passion of it, or just to understand the trade. And therapeutically, I think a lot of people want to save bees, but they eventually connect with the bees in a way that I'm sure we all understand. It just is a different connection with the insect that heals you, makes you appreciate them. You live for your bees. They become maybe like your pets or like your livestock. And from my perspective, I enjoy teaching people and seeing them work from trepidation to connection with the bees is such a privilege that we get to have as we teach beekeeping.
Yeah, I've certainly have experienced that a lot. What kind of advice would you give to someone who like might be on the edge of should I do beekeeping or shouldn't I, or what kind of advice would you give to that sort of person?
Yeah, my sense about beekeeping is I don't know if I reflect my behavior, but I always feel like if you have a successful plan, I always say plan the work, work the plan, then you can do much better at it. And, one of the things we put together, and I work with the Northwest New Jersey Beekeepers Association, that's my home branch here in central New Jersey. And I also work with Raritan Valley Beekeepers, Bucks County Beekeepers, and some of the other clubs, and teach statewide in New Jersey. And, you get to see people on their very first day or contemplating it, and people who've worked bees and struggled at it. And one of the things that is a very frustrating part of beekeeping is the struggle. And given expertise of folks like yourself and me and others, um, I don't want to see people struggle. In our Northwest Club, we created a mentoring program where we used to do in service college like course to teach people from I want bees to bees in the box till full grown. And we would forecast for them the things they should do to plan the work and work the plan. So they didn't have to struggle. And they also had a real good sense of what they were getting themselves involved in. When COVID came, we had to transform the program into an online because we couldn't meet in person. And we changed our lesson plan from in person uh, webinar, seminar to something more along the line of snackable little lessons. And we always say when you meet a beekeeper, they know nothing about beekeeping. Maybe they've read a book or talked to some people or done some research, but a lot of them start with somebody bought me a hive for Christmas. you know, so from that perspective, we try to teach them in the way that they want to learn, which is I need to get my equipment. I need to find out how to get bees. I don't want to get stung. What equipment do I need to protect myself? How do I set up my yard? Where do I place my bees? Where do I buy them? Who do I buy them from? We don't start teaching Varroa until later in the lesson plan. We try to follow what they want from us, not what we can overrun them with. I really try to focus on what's the hobbyist perspective in both the training that I give and the Beekeepers Corner podcast that we operate.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny that you mentioned with people just getting like bee supplies, at the holidays and things like that. When I first started, once people started learning that I was getting into beekeeping, if I had a dollar for every single person who came up to me, oh, have you seen the Flowhive?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different equipment, things like
Have
that.
you
I
ever
mean,
run one?
I have. I've been almost successful once in them,
Yeah.
drawn out some comb, but and deposit some honey. But it's a real tough hive to be able to manage.
I have a funny story about one of those is that I went to do a mentoring visit with someone and they said to me, I have this thing in the garage. I want you to take it. And it was a Flowhive. And I said, I know you paid a lot of money for this. What's it? He said, I tried for 3 years. I couldn't get it to work. I'm done with it. You take it, get it out of here. So I took it home. I'm an EAS master beekeeper. I tried to run the thing for 2 seasons and I could not get it to work. And one time at EAS, the conference, I was sitting at a table and I looked at the guy across from me and I said, darn if you don't look familiar to me. Do I know you? And he said, my name is Stuart Anderson, who, of course, is the inventor of the Flowhive. And all the people at the table started gushing and having conversations with him or whatever. But eventually everybody dissipated and it was Stephen and I sitting there. And I said to him, I have one of your hives. And to be honest with you, I can't get the thing to work. What should I do? And I described what was going on. The bees just won't come into it. And he said, we could make 100 of them and set them out in the field and put bees in them, and 99 will get occupied. And for some reason, one won't. We just don't understand. It's absolutely identical to all the other 99. Here's what you do with it. Go home, put that on the bottom board, and put an active colony above it. Make the bees walk through it. And then partway through the season, switch it, and they'll put honey in it. And darn if he wasn't right. That season, I made a whole box full of honey, and I was really appreciative
Wow.
of his guidance on that.
Well, that's certainly some good golden advice there. I did notice that you do like to. It seems like that you have worked with a Warre hive. Your standard Langstroth. What's your hive preference?
Yeah, I will tell you my favorite in a moment, but one of the things that always interested me is what do other countries do and how do other people keep bees? And on top of that, as a beekeeping educator, we'll inevitably have someone show up on the first field day and say, I have a top bar. And you have to know how to teach them how to use that. So, in order to understand the different hive form factors, both for my own training, being able to teach, and I love them. I love playing with different alternative hives. A lot of times there's not a book or a group that you can go to. You kind of have to figure it out yourself. So I have a Layens hive, which is like a horizontal lang, but different format, comes out of Spain. I have the Warre hive. I do have a Flowhive. I have a top bar hive that's a Kenyan style. And I also run polystyrene hives. And I love to experiment with the different form factors and learn them. And eventually people who have these that can't find a legitimate resource to ask questions find me and ask, and I'm able to give them the guidance. Hands down, the Layens hive is my favorite. I just think I've done cutouts of bee trees and cutouts of homes and other things. When you look at the natural comb and the way that they build, Leo Shereshkin sells them at Horizontal Hives. And I purchased a nuke from him and then had a Layens built. And the size of the frame is, the top bar is shorter in dimension, but the depth of the frame is longer than a conventional Langstroth. And the
Hmm.
way that the bees situate the honey stores, the brood nest, the drone brood comb, and everything on the frames is really fascinating. And to me, it's the closest thing that I've seen to what I see in nature when I cut apart a bee tree or something like that. So that's my favorite, I have to say.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I've experienced with I've tried a few different hives and um but yeah, it's I always find it interesting, to see. I've always wanted to try the top bar hive. I was a former commander at the VFW, and I do have some hives for heroes hives at my VFW. I had an Eagle Scout go in and built a small little apiary there, and but I think that the top bar hive would be really beneficial, for disabled veterans or people
Yeah.
who just can't quite lift as much. So, yeah, the very interesting feedback on that. Yeah, it's
There's an
certainly.
interesting trick with a top bar hive. One of the hardest things about managing one is that they build funny comb and they also attach it to the box. And
Hmm.
if you could keep them from attaching it to the box, that's the thing that trips most beekeepers up, because when you try to pull the frame, it's stuck to the wall and it breaks the comb and whatever. You take your hive tool and you run it along the dimension of the box. And as you break it free, push up on your hive tool. Just keep pushing. And what you do is you compact the edge of the V shaped frame, and as you compact it, the bees will no longer take that comb after you put the frame back in and attach it to the comb. It kind of builds a solid block along the entire bottom edge. And then next time you go to extract the hive or the frame out of the hive, chances are they won't connect it if you keep doing that.
The beehive, offers so many wonderful benefits. There's honey, propolis. We have I collect bee pollen from my hives. What's your favorite thing that our bees produce for us?
Yeah, I mean, I love. I built a solar wax melter out of a custom box in a window I found laying against a telephone pole coming home one day, and I strapped it to an old wheelchair. And my wife and I take all of our excess comb and we put it in the solar wax melter and roll it around the driveway into the sun. And we take that wax and sometimes I make foundation with it. Other times we make products of the hive. And I love experimenting with all the other sides. We make propolis tinctures. I have a process and a presentation on how to do that for people. I teach a little bit about apotherapy and love that aspect of it. I mean, there's not much that I haven't tried, from baked goods with honey to making, when I was a little kid, there was a place in our town that was very similar to Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, where they have the theme park where people live in colonial garb and do colonial practices. It was called Liberty Village in my hometown. And I remember being 8 years old and riding my bike over there, and they were dipping wax candles. And so just recently, I set up a rig, got an old olive oil can that I purchased to put wax in over a double boiler, and made my own dipped candles. And
Hmm.
you have to learn about the wax. You have to learn about the right wick and the length and how to dip it. And you tie a nut on the bottom to hold the tension. And just so I love the process of all of those things. But I have to say, back to your question, working with wax things are a lot of fun. We just went to EAS and we made Pysansky eggs, which was the first time I've ever done that. And that was a total blast.
Wow, that's I haven't done that. My wife has experienced with, experimented with making some lip balms and things like
Yeah.
that with the wax. And I mean, there's just so many great products that come from the hive. Yeah, I just, I think a lot of them are kind of underrated, especially with the propolis. And there's just so many benefits that the bees give us besides, just you know the serenity of just going into a hive and forgetting the rest of the world for a short while you're going through a hive and seeing what's going on in there. Um, if let's see, if what's one of the things maybe you're one of the things that you're like, whoa, I'm never going to do that again. When it relates to beekeeping, what would that be?
There was a time when I was really hesitant to do queen rearing, but now I've gotten back into it. And I feel like sometimes when you do certain things and you struggle at it, you don't want to try it again, but then you muster the courage to do it again. And this year we did some queen rearing after a couple of years of failure, of having limited success, and I'm back at it. I'll tell you, it's frustrating when when it doesn't work. You miss putting a queen in. Building cell builders is like the bane of my existence in that perspective. I don't know. There's different techniques that I've tried that I don't know that I would do again. I wanted to be able to talk as a practice person for treatment-free beekeeping. And so for the past couple of years in my home yard, I've been treatment-free. I know a lot of treatment-free beekeepers. They're quite successful, and they know kind of what the formula is to try and make that work. It's a little bit difficult in New Jersey because we have so much proximity to other beekeepers and tons of packages and new stock being brought in all the time, that if you're trying to breed from survivors and breed from feral bees and things like that in order to improve your genetics, you're swimming upstream in that capacity. Um, I don't know that I would go back to treatment free this month. I actually put treatments in my hive for the first time for a couple of years. I did I did enjoy the learning part of the experience, but the frustrating part was the number of hives you lose. You could certainly rebuild from the stock that comes through, but it's a lot of work. And so I don't know that I would go back to that. Um, and hats off to the people who make it successful. And, if you stay the course, I believe you could probably get to the point where you could do better in the context of survival rates. My survival rate was, what did they report in Auburn? It was 50% for treating beekeepers, and my survival rate was only a couple percentage points lower than that. So it wasn't like I did terrible, but at the end of the day, losing bees, not something I like to do when I have the knowledge to be able to treat. The key thing about being a beekeeper is understanding the perfect storm. Right now, this time of year, we just passed what I call the threshold, August 8th. You want to have clean bees from summer solstice to August 8th, because the bees in your box right now are the ones that are both rearing and going to be your winter bees. There's multiple cycles right up till Halloween. And you need to have clean bees through that period. And to go through that as a treatment-free beekeeper and know that that critical window was passing by and nothing was being done with varroa mites is kind of against the Constitution in that context. So I'm happy to be back with that program and looking for higher survival rates, certainly.
Yeah, that's really important. I know a lot of people are really working with genetics to try to come up with a varroa, resistant queens, and that would be amazing. Just hearing stories of people that were beekeepers in the 1980s where they didn't have to worry
Yeah,
about varroa mite. I'm just so jealous.
no
I
kidding.
really wish
I
that
tell
as a
you, I would
kid I
love to
was more into
wind back that
beekeeping.
clock. Yeah.
um, All right. Let's see. Looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of beekeeping and the beekeeping community?
Yeah, I think, right now I've been on kill lately for the managed mentoring program. We built that program for our local club, and then people started hearing what we were doing and asked us to open it up. And we opened it for New Jersey, and then all of a sudden, because we put it online, we were getting people from Omaha and North Carolina and the Boston area and other places coming through, Maryland. In fact, I see logged into the show here tonight a couple people who are participants of the managed mentoring program, and I got a note from one of them noticing that I was going to be on. And I guess what excites me is I want to have a place where beekeepers can trust. I listened to a podcast recently about somebody evaluating answers coming back from some question that somebody put up about what's going on with this frame. That famous Facebook post on the beginner page, and the 8 billion different answers. Hopefully, if they come to our program, I have a team of EAS master beekeepers and other really seasoned practice beekeepers in helping me with this. And you can get a safe answer. What we did to structure the program was we built all these snackable lessons. You could watch the video on your own time and then come in partway through the month and join the live online session. And one of the most important things that excites me about this is it's a place for new beekeepers. We go to our regular monthly meeting for our club, and they're covering a topic, and there's 6 beekeepers sitting on their hands wanting to ask a question. They get a 5-minute window to ask new beekeeper question, and then it gets shut down and it moves through the program. And they're kind of lost souls. For us, when we have great question and answer session in our twice a month online session, and it's all new beekeepers and they're all learning from each other. A lot of them can find beekeepers in their area and partner up. I always say, find a friend in beekeeping. And I'm excited to continue to build that program and get it, you know, primarily finished, and maybe down the road after beginning. So the way the program's structured is it takes you through the first 2 years, and after you learn how to get your bees over winter and prevent swarming, do your honey harvesting, you tend to now work into rinse, lather, repeat. And I would like to then go into more advanced topics like queen rearing and other things to get the intermediate beekeeping track.
Yeah, that's really great. What is the biggest myth about beekeeping that you wish that you could just erase from memory forever?
I could think of a couple things. I don't know if I have a major one. Like, for example, one of the things you hear all the times is bees build up, bees will build down. If they come out of winter and they're in the top of the hive, those bees didn't read the book. If they need space and the bottom is empty below them, they're going to move down. You could do a reversal, move them to the bottom, and then have the bees build up. Sometimes they're more conducive in that way because they feel like they have space to put their stores, and genetically they're predispositioned to put their stores above. But they'll reorganize the nest in a manner that will suit them based on the conditions they're placed in, which is if the only place to go is down, they'll move down. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of different things that come to mind. You have to face your hives toward the morning sun. It's a good idea. The hives have to be in full sun. My hives are sitting in the woods. I have a absolutely wooded property with no sunlight facing the hives, and they go out and get to work in the morning. Maybe not as great as every other one, but you know, do what's practical for you based on the situation you have at hand, I guess is the best answer to that.
Yeah, very good. Let's see. I just want to see if anyone had any questions in the comments here. Let's see. Looks. I don't really see any questions standing out so far. Okay, let's go ahead and what other? Um, so how's the wax moths out there in your neck of the woods? Like here in California, it's a pretty big thing with a
Is that
lot of
right?
my hives. Yeah.
Yeah, wax moth not really that big of a problem. We are getting more into the small hive beetle issue. If you know anything about New Jersey and the Mid Atlantic region, but New Jersey in particular is like 7 different climates. We have the Piedmont region, the Pine Barrens, the southern area of Cape May, which you know about. Um, we live in different rocky valleys. We have shale soil, and small hive beetles have moved north to our region. And I was doing a talk recently out at the Long Island Beekeepers Club, and they asked me to cover small hive beetles because several of their hives, for whatever reason, last year the conditions were, uh, I guess conducive for small hive beetles to take over their colonies. And wax moth is really a winter problem for your storage stuff. And if you know how to use wax moth flakes and Bacillus thuringiensis, the BT spray, you can usually keep that at bay. Every once in a while, you get surprised. I've opened my, stored comb and found wax moths in there. But if you maintain a reasonably strong colony, they keep that at bay. But small hive beetles, they can be insidious. You have them there?
Oh yeah, we do. But yeah, like yeah, with the wax moth, they seem to be more. But again, yeah, if you do have a nice strong hive, that they usually take care of that problem. All right, we have a couple of questions coming up now. Like I mentioned to you earlier before we started this, here in California, I'm kind of blessed in which we don't really have that harsh of winters. But
Yeah.
for your area, what are some of the suggestions you have for overwintering?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I would say is what I went back to earlier. Know about the perfect storm, that the varroa mites are at the highest at this period of the year, that drones are dissipating and the varroa mites are coming off the drones, and there is no drone brood comb. So their vector is for workers. And so, job number one for overwintering is make sure you're managing your varroa mites. Do your monitoring, make sure you get your treatments issued, and then subsequently ensure that you stay on top of varroa all the way until winter time. I like insulated hives. I run polystyrene hives for that purpose. A regular hive is like a zero point 0.7 R factor, but a polystyrene hive could be a 7 or an 8. At minimum, if you're not going to insulate your hives, I would suggest a 2-inch piece of foam, the XPS green stuff that you could buy at the big box store. Just cut that to the shape of your inner cover and place it underneath the roof. That is a huge benefit. You could look at the work for John Gott from New Jersey, who did a lot of insulation work, and a couple of others. Etienne Tardif comes to mind about how all that works. From the Yukon, I believe that you don't have to insulate your hives. I know that you can get hives through in Alaska, you can get hives through in Canada, but it doesn't hurt. And one of the things that I'll say about my insulated hives is our weather is very strange in that in the spring it yo-yos. Might be 70 one day and 45 the next day, then 40, and then 68, and then 37. It's crazy. And the bees really take a lot of stress and have to exert a lot of resources, especially later in the winterization period, to maintain that when they're at the lowest food stores. The Merrick Guide, the Mid-Atlantic Guide for us, tells us 60 to 80 pounds of honey stores for your hives to get them to overwinter. And I'm feeding this time of year. I know the Mid-Atlantic has, a dearth window where the plants aren't there until you get to goldenrod and asters. And if you can supplementally feed, it helps the immunity system of the bees. When bees convert the sugar, they make hydrogen peroxide, which helps to kill antimicrobial, antibacterial, kill the microbes, and it boosts their immunity and also helps them to continue to rear bees in a period where they need a lot of bees to overwinter. And so, really, it's just the fundamental management practices. Take care of your varroa mites, feed your bees as needed, make sure your hive is situated well for winter from protection, and if you follow the fundamentals, you should be able to get through just fine. The one last thing I'll add to that is I don't like to feed in the winter. I don't like to do inspections. I don't like to break propolis seals. You could probably open your hives carrying any time of year, right? All year long. It might get cooler, but for us, if you open a hive and break the seals, you're setting the bees back from that perspective. So I want them to be fat, happy, and hands off come October, November, December, and I don't want to open them until necessary for spring.
Yeah, that's a really good advice. I've seen a lot of videos of people, just trying to insulate their hives to overwinter, and yeah, with the R factor of just your regular thin Langstroth, you're absolutely correct. It's fine here, where I'm at in California, but certainly in the colder climates, that would not be the case at all. Let me see here. There's a really good question here by Kate Ray. She asks, "What is your favorite podcast?" And also, with your podcast, if someone was to check out um, your Beekeepers Corner, what would be the first episode you would like, or that you would suggest for them?
Oh, that's a hard question. Well, first off, I'll tackle the first question. I love Stuart Spinks, short attention span beekeeper. I love the fact that he gets in, and I want to hear somebody who's actually working bees and tell you the experience. I want them to be also candid about what they do. And if they make a mistake, they'll tell you what they did and why and what they did about it. And I love to learn it. There's a lot of different podcasts out there that I've listened to in the past. It's kind of funny. I try not to listen to podcasts because I don't want to plagiarize their content by inadvertently hearing things. Two Bees in a Podcast, outstanding podcast. Um, I used to love Gary from Kiwimana. I know Gary personally and have chatted with him. He called me when he wanted to get started in beekeeping. I want to say this was 2011 or so. And the original Hive Jive was one of my favorites with Paul and Tracy. There's a couple of them, and every once in a while I go peek around to see what's there. There's a Newbies one that I'm listening to right now that I've never participated in. He just did a great program on honeycomb that I thought was neat. Explored the topic. If they want to talk about the topics and go into the science of bees, I'm all in on those. Coming back to my favorite episode, it's not so much a favorite episode, but I love one of the things that I have as a theme. I obviously don't want to sit there and listen to myself talk, although I enjoy prepping the content and putting the content out there, but guests are my favorite part because I learned so much from talking with other beekeepers. And I always say two beekeepers sitting at a bar having a chat. If there were other beekeepers, they would love to lean in and listen. And I try to operate my one-on-ones like that. And I have to give a special shout out to my friend Bob Kloss, who is sort of my co-host. And I've dragged him into more episodes than one can imagine. And between the two of us, we're one like mind in brain from a beekeeping standpoint. And we really go down the rabbit hole. We're not afraid to razz each other. We're both studied for EAS Master Beekeeper. We're pretty knowledgeable and we'll call ourselves out. And I get so much feedback and people recognize Bob and myself when we're wandering around together at a show. And just find one with Bob Kloss in it and you'll enjoy that episode. I promise you.
Okay, I'll be looking for that one here soon. One last question here. This is from Scott. As a mentor and educator, what are some of the best practices that you have seen to recruit and keep mentors? And what recommendations do you have for newbies to get the most out of that relationship?
Yeah, one of the fundamentals of our management mentoring program is pay it forward. We love the fact that when we talk to our people and give them education and they do well at it, the third pillar of our program for our local club is that we'll go out and visit beekeepers. So they join, they watch the videos, they come to the mentoring yard, and they do hands-on with us in our local club. And then they join the online meetings. And somewhere along the line, just as a safety net, a safety check, and a pat on the back, kind of like you're doing good, we go visit them. And the thing for our mentors is that you know it probably as a beekeeper, you get called all the time. People need you ad hoc to come visit them. And who has time? I can hardly find the time to manage my own bees and work a full-time job and all of that other stuff. If you're part of this program, you have so many touch points that you're constantly getting your questions answered. You have more confidence in what you're doing. But there's nothing like when we send someone to stand there with you. And one of my favorite things is we do a 3-tier program. We take a really seasoned beekeeper, an intermediate beekeeper, and we take someone who just came out of the program that has confidence about what they're doing for beekeeping, and we take them with us. And we go out and do the mentor visits. And then those people who came out of our mentoring program are so appreciative of what happens that year after year when I call for the mentor visits that we do during the summer, they step right up and they'll go out and visit somebody. And the neat thing about the way that we orchestrate the program is we play matchmaker. We give you a name. We know where the people are located. We find someone within a 15-minute ride of you. And you call them and set up the time at your own leisure. We give you a program to go do the mentor visit and then report back what happens. And if there happens to be a problem, maybe they find that the person's queenless or whatever, then we pick it up and carry the person through resolution. And there's nothing like just standing over them, guiding them through how to light their smoker if they're not doing well, showing them tips on how to do the inspection, and getting them set up. They're so appreciative that a lot of times they'll come back and help us mentor the program as we move through the years. We've been doing this I want to say we started in 2013 or 14. And we've had so many people pass through the program. And I'm never at a want when I ask for somebody to go do mentor visits that I don't have a team of people who are willing to step up and go out for us.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time tonight. Feel free to connect with our Hives for Heroes family. How you would like, and what is the best way for people to go to listen to your podcast?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to say is thank you for all that you do. I so appreciate the program that you run, and I would love to support yours and the other programs like it, and think beekeepers should get invested. And I'm a huge NASCAR fan, so I'm telling you, September 11th, I'm in on that whole deal.
Yeah, I can't wait
BKcorner.org.
for that too.
I'm so excited. I just came from Watkins Glen. I went to Watkins Glen this weekend.
Yeah,
BKcorner.org.
I was back at the Sonoma race there a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, there you go. So you were a road course, so was
Oh
I.
yes.
Yeah. BKcorner.org is the website. And managementoring.com is the mentoring website. Just go there and click on start here and follow the instructions. Or on the homepage, there's the first year lessons. Just click on them. Click on January if you want to get started, and you could do it self-service. I was at EAS last week and somebody stopped and thanked me. I've never heard of them, never knew anything about them. They found the program and just went and did it on their own. And they were like, the content is so good. We really appreciate it. So, yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right, folks. Now it is time for a little fun. We're giving away 2 $100 gift cards for beekeeping gear. All you have to do is type freedom in the comments right now, and the winners will be announced before we wrap. Now here's something you might not see on social media. There is a ton always happening behind the scenes of Hives for Heroes to help promote our mission. We're building partnerships with organizations across the country. Our mentors and state leaders are connecting with new members every single week. And we're lining up major events over the next 12 months that are going to take this mission even further. And the best part, every bit of it comes from people like you showing up, giving your time, talent, and resources. All right, Kevin, let's have some fun. Quick
Oh, boy.
answers only. Okay, here is our speed round. Okay, for our speed round, we have what is your favorite bee-related memory?
Being teased about Hive Tool episode that I made. I talked about Hive Tools for probably 45 minutes, and everybody teases me about how I could go on so long about Hive Tools. They razz me all the time wherever I go.
All right. Give one word to describe beekeeping.
Exhilarating.
That's a good one. Best advice you've ever received.
Best advice I've ever received. Have to think through that one. I think it's really about managing Varroa. If you are a beekeeper, you're a Varroa keeper.
Yep, definitely. What is your go-to hive tool?
I love the Easy Pry Hive Tool. Love it. That's one I use.
And what is your favorite honey recipe?
There's a recipe for luscious caramel on my website that I've made, and it is spectacular. I just absolutely love that recipe. Go to the website, BK Corner, click on recipes. And when you're there, look at the one for tasting mead. My wife and I had a really funny thing at the end of it, but luscious caramel.
All right, that sounds wonderful. Awesome. And all right, again, tonight, this has just been awesome. Once again, huge thanks to you, Kevin, for joining us and for all that you do for the beekeeping community, helping all the new or future mentors, hopefully. And also to all of you who are listening to our live for tuning in. Again, our regular host should be back next month. Don't forget, the reason why I am here and Steve is not is because Steve threw out the first pitch for the Houston Astros game tonight. Also, don't forget NASCAR number 3 in Bristol on September 11th with Josh White, former Marine. Um, and if you want to donate to put your name or someone else's name on his car, all you have to do is go and donate $50 to Hives for Heroes. There's information on, I believe, the Hives for Heroes website for that. The BX online platform beta is going to start on September 1st with a ton of local and national events coming up. All of these moments put our mission in front of new eyes, and that means more heroes are served. Please share with your friends, family, and community. You never know who you may impact. Please follow us at Hives for Heroes on social media. Join Heroes Hangout every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Central. And check the events page on our website. You are the Hive, and together we are unstoppable. Thank you all for sharing your time with us, and we will see you next month. Thank you, everyone. Oh, hold on. I forgot. Yes, the Freedom, our
Oh,
giveaway. Boy, I would be getting some flack if I didn't mention this. Okay, the two winners, we have Brian Burton and Kate Ray. What you need to do is, I believe, if you, I don't know, I can't remember the email for that one. I think it is simply connect at Hives for Heroes. That may get you there. But I will pass on your names to the right people. So how that works is you need to select a local beekeeping place. And again, here at Hives for Heroes, we are here to help build connections for you. So as we are building connections, you need to select a local beekeeping supply place. Let us know who you choose, and we want you to make connections with your local beekeepers. And again, thank you all for sharing your time with us tonight, and we will see you next month. Thank you. Bye bye.